The Greco-Italian War started on the 28th of October 1940. The Italians had given Greece an ultimatum, let Italian troops pass unhindered through the country.
Hi, I'm Kylie, just another Army vet, and today, in honor of the 83rd anniversary of Greece's OXI Day, I'm reacting to a video called The German Invasion of Greece 1941 by the channel History Hustle. Please go check out that channel. There is a lot of great content, and I will go ahead and link it down below. Let's get to it.
The German invasion of Greece, that's what I will be talking about in this video. Now normally I am standing on a spot where the invasion actually happened, where the fighting did take place. Now I'm on a Commonwealth War cemetery here in Athens. Why am I here? And why are there Commonwealth soldiers buried here? Well, that's because the Greeks did not fight alone against the German onslaught.
Commonwealth.
When World War II came around, Greece was under the rule of the so-called 4th of August regime, led by General Ioannis Metaxas, who seized power in 1936.
I'm glad that he is being labeled right there as a dictator, even though in history books and in history videos, you'll often see him labeled as a prime minister, actually.
Greece was still a kingdom though, with King George II on the throne. What is interesting is that Metaxas had fascist tendencies, took inspiration from fascist Italy, however he did not align himself with the Axis powers. The Greco-Italian War started on the 28th of October 1940. The Italians had given Greece an ultimatum to surrender strategic posts and let Italian troops pass unhindered through the country.
October 28th, OXI Day. That's when Metaxas said no, or OXI, then there'll be war. And as far as I know, Greece is the only country in the world to actually celebrate the beginning of World War II.
Metaxas refused, and war began. From Italian-held Albania, the Italians invaded Greece. Italian dictator Mussolini believed victory was to be easy, but the Greeks put up a stubborn defense. Next month, the Italians were pushed back into Italian-held Albania, and a stalemate set in. In December, Hitler had made up his mind to invade Greece. With his eyes on the USSR, he could not risk war at his southern flanks. Greek leader Metaxas would not live to see the German invasion, because he passed away due to ill health in January 1941. When March 1941 came around, fears for a German invasion were growing. Bulgaria had joined the Axis, and German troops amassed at the Bulgarian-Greek border.
Greece is actually the only country to be simultaneously invaded by 3 Axis powers at the same time: Italy, Germany, and Bulgaria.
Most Greek troops were evacuated from western Thrace when this happened. In case of a German attack, these would be cut off quickly. The Greek army was under command of Alexandros Papagos. Only several border guard battalions remained, and behind the Metaxas line were the 7th, 14th, and 18th Greek Division, with the 19th in reserve. All in all, around 70,000 men strong. Do notice that the Greek First Army, with 14 divisions, was in Albania at war with the Italians. Greece was not alone in this fight, as it was supported by Commonwealth forces. Australians, New Zealanders,
Anzacs,
and British troops embarked in the Greek ports and took up positions near Salonika and at the Aliakmon line. They were led by Henry Wilson. On the 6th of April 1941, Germany invaded both Yugoslavia and Greece. I did make an episode about the Axis invasion of Yugoslavia. See the link in the top right corner. The German plan of attack was named Operation Marita. One attack went through Yugoslavia, which was invaded simultaneously. German units did attack the northern Metaxas line and met stubborn Greek defense. After 3 days, the lines collapsed. Fort Rupel held out longer. Bombardment didn't do much, and the Greeks fought off several attacks. Even as Salonika is captured on April 9th, the fortress held out, but did capitulate the following day. The Germans disarmed the captured Greek soldiers, but then let them go. This had several reasons. Hitler had the Greeks in high regard and was impressed by their bravery against the Italians in the Greco-Italian War, but also because the Germans had no time to take all the surrendering Greek soldiers as prisoner of war.
And those Greeks that actually were released, they were not out of the fight. They went to other countries to rejoin the fight against the Axis powers.
So what about the Greek First Army that was still stationed in Albania? They began giving up the lands they fought and died for in the past months. Morale was low. Exhausted by almost 6 months of fighting in the blizzards and sub-zero temperatures of the mountains, few among either officers or men had morale left to face a fresh and by reputation far more deadly adversary to their rear. Within days, discipline began to break down. Without proper orders from Athens, local commanders on their own initiative sued for terms. Outbreaks of mutiny occurred. The Greek army was disintegrating. British Commander Wilson had hoped the Greeks from Albania would come to defend Mount Olympus. On the 13th of April, the 9th Panzer Division fought in a battle tank on tank against the British near Ptolemais. The Germans lost a handful of tanks, the British in the tens. The British pulled back, but the Germans could not pursue them right away because of the lack of ammunition and gas. The British decided to pull back to Thermopylae. The Battle of Lake Astoria on the 15th of April was the last land action involving the Greek army versus the Axis.
Thermopylae, wasn't that where the 300 was, with the Spartans against the Persians? Maybe.
On the 16th, the Anzacs managed to hold the mountain passes further south. On April 18th, the Prime Minister of Greece, Alexander Kourissis, shot himself. It gave the Allied troops little time to prepare their defenses as they were pushed back by the Germans. It became clear to the Germans that the Allies wanted to evacuate the mainland of Greece, and therefore they wanted to capture as much as Allied soldiers as possible. On the 20th of April, Commander Georgios Tserakaglu, he decided to surrender to the Axis. Well, to the Germans, not the Italians. Tserakaglu would later have the Greek collaborationist government. Meanwhile, the Allies, they wanted out, and they wanted out now. At Thermopylae, the place where centuries ago 300 Spartans fought against the invading Persians, now a unit of Australians fought off the Germans as long as possible so their allies could retreat. An Australian brigade fought at Bralos. Meanwhile, King George II was evacuated via ship from mainland Greece to Crete. The harbor of Piraeus, not too far from here actually, was severely damaged by German bombing. Therefore, the Allies had to make use of other ports to evacuate their troops, while the Germans were hot on their heels. When a detachment of SS Leibstandarte Adolf Hitler entered the Greek city of Patras, one observer wrote the following: "These men in helmets are carrying over their uniform light camouflage tunics, green, brown, and black, armed to the teeth, marching with a heavy but quick step. Human robots forming two rectangles of iron, they gave an impression of invincible force." On the 26th, German paratroopers landed at the Corinth Canal to secure the entrance to the Peloponnesus. The attack was successful, although the bridge got blown up and later repaired. And now at the Acropolis, and here we see an interesting monument. On the 27th of April, the Germans entered Athens and they walked up the Acropolis. There was a Greek guard guarding the Greek flag. The Germans ordered the guard to take down the flag at once, which he refused. The Germans then did it themselves. They took down the Greek flag, raised the swastika flag, and handed the Greek flag over to the guard, who then took the flag and jumped off the Acropolis and fell to his death 60 meters below. Who was this man? It was Konstantinos Koukidis. But who was he exactly? Well, many believed he was an F-zone guard, one of these special Greek guards, but he wasn't on the rolls. Others believed he was just a Greek soldier, but the Greek army had disintegrated by now. So who was he really? Both German and Greek witnesses confirm a uniformed man jumped down the Acropolis with the Greek flag. Most likely, he was a member of the Metaxas fascist-like EON, the National Youth Organization. So that explains the uniform. After the war, anti-fascists wanted to hush up his identity. The weight of evidence suggests that Koukidos, whatever the uniform he was wearing, was a real person and that the suicide story is authentic. Several eyewitnesses saw his body tumbling down the rocks to come to rest on Tresillo Street, where a monument to his sacrifice now stands. The witnesses say he was put in an ice cart and trundled to a burial in Athens' first cemetery not far away. Such was the dramatic yet humble end of the last hero of the defense and fall of Greece. On the 29th, the south coast of the Peloponnesus was reached by the Germans. Around 50,000 British Commonwealth forces were successfully evacuated. Here are some more numbers. List's 12th Army lost 1,420 men killed and 3,400 wounded. The Greeks themselves, from the start of the Italian invasion, lost 13,408 killed and 42,485 wounded. The Italian losses are roughly comparable. The Greeks also lost 23,000 men captured, though the great majority of these surrendered to the Germans, who subsequently let them go home. The Greek island of Crete was the last Allied stronghold in Greece. On the 20th of May, the Germans undertook a massive airborne assault. New Zealand, Australian, and British troops, as well as local Cretans, fought valiantly, inflicting huge losses on the incoming paratroopers.
Even though Crete was lost to the Germans, this is still considered to be one of Nazi Germany's worst airborne failures of the entire war.
Yet the Germans prevailed. Greece was fully occupied now. The Greek king and the government had made their way to Egypt. Greece was occupied by the Germans, the Italians, and the Bulgarians, and would see a brutal occupation. A famine claimed 250,000 of Greek lives. There was collaboration, there was resistance. More on that in the future, and as they say in Greece, Antiosas.
Again, please go check out History Hustle and give the original video a like. He did an amazing job. And one thing he did not mention was the civilian involvement in Greece, because they actually played a vital role as they were being invaded. And he did briefly mention how the citizens of Crete did rise up against the Germans during the invasion. However, he left out the part when Germany actually retaliated against their citizens by killing hundreds or thousands of them and actually wiping out entire towns. Respect goes out to the Greeks and all the Allied forces. I have some videos on the screen you might want to check out: the Battle, Crete, and OXI Day.